How's it going, everyone? Today is another commentary video. If you've been paying attention in NHL esports, the Washington Capitals are currently running a 6 vs 6 EASHL event. The final 4 teams will play live at a LAN event. It'll be the first live 6v6 event in North America in about a decade, so this is a pretty big deal for the community. So if you're interested in NHL esports, I figured this would be a good time to talk about my experience in Finland for the IS Cup with some pictures and some clips to show you as well. It had everything from a musical act to celebrity appearances to very exciting games. So this picture is the general setup. It was at some very large convention center that I do not know the name of, nor will I ever be able to pronounce that name. I don't remember how many seats we had. We had at least 120 seats. Caster booth to the right, which you will see soon, but overall it looks very cool. It took us the entire day before to get that all set up. It was a very long day. And I mean everything from building the chairs, to the monitors, the PlayStations, the miles and miles of wiring behind the stage and off to the sound booth to the right. And it helped where I could here and there, and I did as much as I could, but I left the high tech stuff to our tech crew, Victor and Kim. They are geniuses at what they do. So the first team we have here is Delusions. They are a group of very good players. I think this might have been their first season playing together, so it was actually very nice to see them make it all the way to the live event. Next up we have Philadelphia. Eki's in the middle, Playmaker's here as well. And just for a second, I want to talk about these chairs. These chairs were amazing and crazy expensive. I googled them and they cost over $400 with taxes. So I sat in them, they were so comfortable. I couldn't believe it, but you $400 chairs, that blew my mind. Next up we have Butterfly Effect, of the purple team. They're pretty young. I believe the second from the right, Nike Dangles, if I got that right. I think he's 15 years old, which is crazy. But as a group, they play crazy fast, pedal to the metal offense. They can score 3 goals in 3 minutes. Their main issue is that they do take some penalties here and there, and that can lead to their downfall. But in my opinion, they were the most exciting team to watch. And now we have the big boys, Havu Gaming, considered to be the best team in Europe. That man with the giant beard there, he's their goalie Hansu. And finally, we have the casters. The one on the left is Oskari Koski for play-by-play. The one on the right is Jonas Verta. He's known as Super Verta online. He's a pretty popular Twitch streamer there for them. He's actually a player for Philadelphia as well. He's a backup defenseman, and one of the other casters was sick, so he was kind enough to step in for color commentary. My main job was to work with them, to help them out, talk to them beforehand about the storylines, the talking points, the team and player history, feed them stats. If there was anything that I saw in the game as a player, I could relay that to them, and anything in between. Alright, so now that we've met the teams, let's talk about what happened on day 1, the semifinals. Even though we showed up really early to get some last minute prep work done, the players had to show up early as well to help us out and get the photos done. And major props to Kirsty, as in no time she took all the pictures and photoshopped them all just as fast, and that led to graphics such as this, so very thankful to her. Before the games, there was actually a band. At first they played traditional pump-up music that you would hear, at any sporting event, and then they added some songs from the retro NHL games, which I thought was a pretty cool throwback. So now we get to the games. The semis are best of 5. We started with Philadelphia and Delusion, and they split the first 2 games. After that, both teams leave, and we begin the other series with Butterfly Effect and Havu. I thought this was weird at first, but there's a good reason behind it, and now we'll get to it in a few minutes. So Butterfly Effect, they come out firing, and they score 3 goals in the first 5 minutes against Europe's best team, Havu. A couple of minutes later, some penalties, some defensive miscues, and next thing you know, it's 3-3 at the end of the first. Havu ended up closing out that game, and they won convincingly in Game 2 as well. So now they come off, and we're back at the first series. Philadelphia and Delusion tied at 1. They split the next 2 games. It comes down to Game 5, and Delusion is considered the underdog team here. Remember, it's their first season playing together. They were able to pull off the upset against Philadelphia and come away with the win. Now we're back to Butterfly Effect and Havu, and this is where I think the break comes into play. If they played games 3 and 4 right away, Havu won the first 2 games pretty convincingly. I think it would have been an easy sweep for Havu. They had all the momentum. But after the break, Butterfly Effect was able to regroup. They were a bit more disciplined. They still took penalties here and there, but they had a much more balanced approach this time around. They ended up with a nice comeback victory in Game 3. They ended up winning Game 4 as well and forced a Game 5. So both series went the full distance. And Game 5 was so defensive. Nobody wanted to make a mistake. 0-0 all the way till the very end. Butterfly Effect actually had a breakaway goal in the final 10 seconds, but Hansu made the clutchest save of the event to send it to overtime, where they'd eventually score on the power play and head to the finals. And the crowd got genuinely loud during that breakaway. I'd compare it to a tennis challenge where it goes to the replay and everyone goes ooh and ah during the slow motion. It was very loud, and I thought that was actually an incredible live experience to witness. That was day 1. Now on to day 2, the third place series and then the finals. This day was absolutely packed, as you can see in the picture. People needing to stand on the outside. Now, why wasn't day 1 as packed? We still had a pretty good crowd. Apparently, that was because the Finnish national soccer team had a huge game on the day of the semifinals. Supposedly one of the biggest in its history in a very, very long time. So that was pretty funny when someone explained that to me. So we start off with Philadelphia and Butterfly Effect for the third place game. This one is a best of 3 series, and of course it goes the full distance. Philadelphia ended up winning that series, and just to have some fun at the end, they ended up having a full line brawl at the very end, and that was actually a lot of fun. The crowd seemed to enjoy that as well. On to the finals. We have Havu. They won Game 1 easily, but Delusion grinds out a close win in Game 2 to even the series. And now we take a break again, but this time it's for a different reason, and this is where the celebrities come into play. I'll show you a picture if I can find one. I have no idea who these people are, but apparently they're very, very popular in Finland. Maybe throughout Europe as well, I have no clue. I think one is a YouTuber, and I was told that the other might be a hip-hop artist, or just some musical artist in general. They came with their own security and everything. So for about 45 minutes, they hung out with the crowd. There was a drawing way beforehand, and they played some 2-on-2 with fans of them who won that contest beforehand. So that was actually a pretty nice experience as well. Back to the series, they split games 3 and 4, and again split games 5 and 6. Game 6, Delusion had to win in overtime to force a Game 7. All other series went the full distance. Why not this one as well? Another very, very long day. But just like every series that I've seen Havu play in, they know how to stay calm in these big games, ice in their veins, and they won Game 7 and the event with a final score of 4-2. Overall, it was an amazing experience. I lost count of how many hours I was working each day. It wouldn't even surprise me if there were 14-hour days, plus doing more work back at where I was staying, just to prepare for the next day. But I was having so much fun, it never felt like work. It was a great experience meeting all the Europeans, the players, the production crew, and I'm glad and very thankful to Ken from NHLGamer for the invite. Now my goal is to try and take that experience, along with my experience as an admin and media member for, NACL, the North American Championship League, ESHL, and just to be more involved with NHL esports. I'm going to keep applying for positions when the NHL events are announced. No luck yet, but I'm going to keep trying, as I do want to see NHL esports grow as much as possible. I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a comment. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Pass cross. Oh my goodness, what a glove save!
The anticipation from Jay Money right there shut the door down on the one-timer.